I was thinking the other day about what I would really like to do when I graduate from university.
Interesting. I thought that you had already decided on your career.
Yes and no. I saw a program about architecture and that set me thinking.
Architecture, what is that? That's just making buildings.
Well, that's what I thought too. But there's a lot more about architecture than just making buildings. In fact, you will be surprised about architecture and what the architects do.
Really? Well, go ahead, surprise me.
Right. First, you need to be creative. Now, I'm not thinking I'm particularly creative, but creativity can be learned. And just like any other skills, once you understand the techniques, then.
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Isn't creativity a skill that you're born with? I mean, like, when you watch a creative person at work bursting with ideas, to me, it seems like magic.
Right, but let's take a look at the world of sports first.
Okay, yeah.
When we watch the world-class athletes at Olympic Games, we kind intuitively understand that they spent years of hard work and training, and that got into their great performance, right?
Of course.
Because it's just common sense. If you trained hard, you get stronger and you get faster. And in the same way, we can train our bodies to get stronger and faster. The same thing applies to our brains. If we train our brains will be more creative.
Okay, so what you're saying is then, in the beginning, it doesn't matter, say, if I don't have any skills or any talent.
Exactly.
This is good news for me.
Being an architect is about your state of mind, in fact. And not the tools you have. You get to learn the tools along the way. So don't worry about the skills you have right now. You just need to have curiosity. Curiosity about the world the way it is, and the world could be. So
I see.
People usually think that creativity is all about making things, but actually, creativity process starts much earlier when we look at things and ask the questions. So perhaps we should ask questions, right? Why are things like this? Or what would happen if we make something differently? The creative process starts with asking questions and being curious about the way the world is and the world we live in.
Yeah, of course, I see that. Still, it's just building buildings, right?
Sure, but that's only a small part of the overall picture, the whole picture. A building design must take into account many factors, including the society in which it will be built. Society are completely different, right? If we would take four cities, for example, Tokyo, Caracas, Hong Kong, and Morocco. So the families who live there are different. The societies are different, and their regions are completely different. Also, the natural environment in these places are different. And another factor to consider is technique.
I see.
Of course, you need to know how to support the building, right?
Yeah.
And you need to understand the technology that is available to make these buildings and make this design. All these designs are to be conditioned by those techniques. And also the fourth factor will be economy.
Okay.
You need to work with the budget, right, when you design the building. So any design will need to integrate these four factors: society, nature, technique, and economy into it.
Society, nature, technique, economy. It's a lot more complex than I first imagined. There certainly is a lot to think about. Well, what about the actual design of a building? How do you go about doing that?
There are many different approaches to design buildings, depending on the purpose of the building.
Sure.
So an office building that will host 500 workers is different from a community of 100 families.
I see.
For example, for the office building, the designer need to consider the ease of entrance and exit.
Of course.
Because these 500 workers would like to arrive or leave the office at the same time.
Right.
But that's totally different for the community, because the families, they would not leave their house or back to the home, at the same time. But maybe for the community, we need to consider privacy.
Absolutely.
A very good view.
I like that.
And soundproofing will be more important to a housing community.
Sure. That's all fine in theory, but can you show me what you're talking about? Can you show me a real-world example?
Sure, just come with me. Let's take a walk around the Asia University campus.
Great.
Then let's take a short drive to the Wufeng area.
Okay, wonderful. That sounds great.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Now we have two questions about the conversation part.
Question 1. Do you think creativity, skill, and talent are things that people are born with? Or do you think creativity and skill are things that you can learn?
The second question, we also mentioned 4 factors that we should take into account when we design a building. What are the 4 factors?